This is for the players. For those that leap into battle in the blink of an eye. For the drivers that compete for their club, no matter where they are. For everyone who has triumphs, tips and tricks to share.
And for those who love to play with complete freedom, this is for the game changers, the innovators. This is for the players. This is PS4.
Real guys, real sport, Bar TV.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
Hello and welcome to round 16 of the Northern New South Wales NPL. Today we're at Darling Street Oval for this big clash between Hamilton and Weston. The best attack in Hamilton taking on the best defence. Weston assistant coach Darren Sills just getting himself on the TV. We've got a big game, as I said, coming up here from Darling Street. We've got 2 rounds to go in the NPL and then it's into the finals. So I'll run upstairs, grab the team sheet and go through the 2 sides that will be playing this afternoon here at Darling Street.
Grandfather of our first grader Mason Campbell, father of Diana, recently passed away. Alex was a great encouragement to Mason in his football career and rarely missed a match. Also last Sunday night, unfortunately, Paul Simmons, a father of 3, was tragically killed in a car accident. Paul and his son, Jack, who played for the Emerging Jets, would often come to Olympic matches, and they were only here last Sunday at our home match. To the Young, Campbell and Simmons family, Hamilton Olympic and all the football fraternity would like to pass on our condolences to all the families and would like to observe a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. The team lineups in the first grade fixture.
So we'll go through those team lineups now.
Number 1,
we'll run
Danny
through
Ireland.
those for you.
Number 4, and captain, Kyle Hodges. Number 6, Kane Goodchild. Number 7,
Simon Mooney. Number 8, Jacob Bailey. Number 9, Andrew
For
Swan.
Hamilton in goals, number 1, Danny Ireland, 4, Kyle Hodges, 6, Kane Goodchild, 7, Simon Mooney, 8, Jacob Bailey, 9, Andrew Swan, 10, Reece Cooper, 12, Matt Swan, 13, Mason Campbell, 14, Ben Coyner, 17, Pat Brown, and on the bench, Tom Davies, number 3, 16, Heath Capriotis, 18, Alex Zerapar, 19, Jason Korotic, and 21 is Josh Cox. And they are coached by Mick Bulch. For Weston, in goals is Tim Pratt, 2, Nathan Morris, 3, Robbie Turnbull, number 4 is Brock Oakley, 5, Nick Thompson, 7, Liam Thornton, number 10 is Gary McDermott, 13 is Carl Thornton, 19 Wilson Edwards, and 24 is Paul Clout, 25 is Troy Herefield. On the bench is number 11 Jamie Subat, Isaac Peake, Adam Pearce is the backup goalkeeper for Weston on the bench this afternoon. So almost about to get underway. Joining me back in commentary this week is Chris Turner. And Chris, what are your thoughts about this game this afternoon?
Well, we thought we had a good one last week, and Lambton taking on Edgeworth, and this week second v third. It's going to be very interesting. Just looking at the team lineups, how they're shaping up. They've got both setting up with a 4-2-3-1 looking across the park, so coming out in the same formation. Should be a good game.
Should be an excellent game this afternoon. Now, our normal commentator who we've got in the experts, Chair Blake Jarrett, is just below us this afternoon. He's recovering from his trip to France, and he's looking through Twitter trying to get some scores this afternoon. So we'll get those up to date as soon as we possibly can. Those other matches are Adamstown Rosebuds and the Jaffers, Charlestown and Maitland, and Magic and the Jets, and Edgeworth beat South Cardiff 2-0 on Friday night. So Edgeworth goes 6 points clear at the top of the ladder as Kane Goodchild down the left-hand side, but he's been called offside. So, but that match between Charlestown and Maitland this afternoon, Chris, that is, well, it's a crucial one for both sides. Whoever loses risks going down with South Cardiff just a couple of points.
Yeah, they do.
Them.
And I was speaking to Blake Thompson this morning, just to wish the boys the best. It's going to be a massive game up there, and you're right, it'll probably go a long way to determining which way whoever wins is going to be virtually safe. He did say the Maitland boys are pumped up, so they'll be raring to go. And I know Ben Kelly's, I could hear him in the background this morning chirping away. He's certainly up for a big game, and when he's up for it, you know he's going to put out a good one on the day.
Yeah, Charlestown have, well, in the paper, Craig Kerry said that he thought Charlestown were responding better to the fear of relegation, and they've been playing better over the last few weeks. Charlestown recently, they've won 2 of their last 3. They lost last week 1-0 to Weston. Liam Thornton with the goal in that game. And for Hamilton last week, they had a thumping 7-0 win over the Jets Youth here at Darling Street. It was a sad state of affairs for the Jets Youth the past few weeks. And Peter McGuinness wasn't here last week, the Jets assistant coach. I'm struggling to think of his name at the moment. Mark Jones. Mark Jones was absolutely livid with the Jets Youth performance, as that ball goes back to Tim Pratt.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, these relegation games, there's a lot more on the table, because if you come last in the league, you're back into the second division. It's a long claw back, and then you've got to go and win that one again. And the resources, the energy and time, especially for a club like Maitland, who've put so much time and energy on and off the park, getting everything in order. So, they'll be hoping for a victory today. And, it's same with Charlestown. They've been back in the into the mix. Just have a look here, offside. But, yeah, Charlestown, have only just come back up in the last couple of years, and they were devastated when they went down 5 or 6 years ago. And, they won't be wanting to go back down either.
Well, here's the free kick. Nathan Morris taking it. Yeah, I'm going to say I think at this point of the year, with the new finals competition we've got now, those lower games are probably more exciting or interesting to the neutral viewer, because there's something in terms of there's a lot on the line in those matches. Whereas at the moment with the new final series, 1 to 4, it really doesn't matter where you finish. you're all going to be playing in the finals, and you're all going to get one home game and one away game at each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as I said before, the importance and the amount of pressure that's on the teams at the bottom end to stay up, that's where it really comes on the line. So in the top 4, it's all just a bonus from there, but at the bottom end, there's a lot to play for and a lot of people around the club that are, you know, that have put their hearts and souls into the place.
So we've got a corner kick for Weston. In the earlier games, it was 4-1 Olympic beat Weston in the 22s, and in the 19s, it was 2-1 to Olympic. So both wins this afternoon to Olympic, 4-1 and 2-1. Nathan Morris from this near side, trying to see if Weston can create an early opening in the Hamilton defence. Goes very deep, all the way onto the other side of the ground. Stab back in. Comes back to Herefield. Puts it over the top. He's looking for Paul Clout. Comes away now for Pat Brown. And over the sideline, Gary McDermott watching that one run down. And he goes back to Robbie Turnbull. Pat Brown intercepts it off the chest. Goes down the left-hand side. Cuts it back to Goodchild. Kane Goodchild now putting ball through, but a little bit heavy. And Chris, it's a pretty windy afternoon here in Hamilton. Great conditions. The wind isn't cold at all. It feels like a nice warm spring day.
Yeah, it sure does. It's been a beautiful day, and the wind only come up in the last an hour and a half, 2 hours. It started to blow a little bit. That's probably why the corner was overhit. He's put a good strike on it, but the wind's just got a hold of it and take it down the far side.
He's Goodchild. Back Liam Thornton getting involved as well. As we said, scored the goal last week for Weston against Charlestown up at Rockwell Automation Park. They're those matches that last week, the Western one, that I think really show the difference between the top sides and the bottom sides. I'm having a guess and say they probably didn't have their best match, but they got the job done 1-0, and I think that's so important to get the 3 points, even when you're not playing at your best.
I was noticing before when we were talking about relegation, we've got Brock Oakley in the middle at the back for Weston, and that's pushed Carl Thornton, who's just about to challenge. Carl sitting in a holding position, so...
Ricocheting away now to Pat Brown, who has the shot, and Hamilton are in front. Well, it was an opportunist goal for Pat Brown. It ricocheted away, and I believe that's his third goal in 2015 for Pat Brown. He scored 4 last year, and he's almost equaled that this afternoon. He's got up to 3.
That's
Chris,
the first goal scored for
really
Hamilton Olympic.
You're right, opportunist was the word. It's a little bit of bumble around the goal mouth there, one of those things that sits out for you. So, yeah, he finished it well, and great goal.
And there's nothing more than I love watching a game of football than an early goal, because it makes the opponents have to go hard straight away, try and find that equaliser. So we'll see what Weston can come up with. Brock Oakley just doing up his shoelace off screen down at the Western defensive end. Yeah,
so I was saying before, just before the goal, Carl Thornton there on the ball, he's moved up into a holding midfield role, and I can only help think that's a result of probably trying to nullify some of the Olympic attack, in particular in amongst the middle of the park with Jacob Bailey.
Free kick going the way of Weston for a little bit of a late hit on Brock Oakley. It was Cody Lucas that came. I shouldn't say Cody Lucas, I should say Ben Coyne. Cody Lucas is out this week. He's on a holiday in Melbourne. And Brock Oakley's been, I think it went through his legs, may have been nutmeg there. Ball trickling towards him. Crowd enjoying that here at Hamilton. I'm sure there's a lot of people viewing it from Weston.
That's not the spot you want to do it right in front of the Olympic crowd as well.
Comes back for Cloud. He squared it across looking for McDermott. Yeah, Weston do a great job with their live stream on their website. Always lots of viewers when we have a game when Weston are playing away and at home, and more so when they're away. Saves them the trip down into town. Throw on that far side of the ground for Nick Thompson. And Hamilton this season, they've kept 4 clean. They kept 4 clean sheets last year compared to this year with 3. And they were kept scoreless 3 times last year. This year they've only been kept scoreless once. They're the leading attacking side in the competition with 36 goals. They weren't actually before last week. They were a long way behind, but those 7 goals last week really helped them get all the way up to 36, and Magic were ahead of them at the time. Looking for Ben Coyne back post. It goes over the byline, and Magic, of course, playing midweek against Heidelberg. They went down 3-1.
Yeah, talking about goals, having a talk to Michael Bolch last night. Bolch, was telling me that Goody's up to 9 this season and Simon Mooney's 8. So, you know, these guys, you know, are really putting some goals away. And I've said it before to you, Ben, that I'm really impressed with Simon Mooney. He's known him for a long time, probably since he's about 16. He comes from Old Bar. But he's turned into a really big attacking sensation for this club this year. He's off last year with a knee injury.
He's been crucial to Hamilton's rise up the ladder this year in comparison to last year. As you said, 8 goals, and Kane Goodchild, the stat with him, it's an incredible stat. And 2 seasons in the competition, Kane Goodchild, the last 2 seasons. The sides he's played for, when he scores, they don't lose a game. So that's incredible.
The thing about Simon is, just knowing him and his personality, in fact, I know his mum and dad pretty well too, he's the sort of guy who's going to go at you, you know, and when he goes at players, he's asking them the question rather than other people making him force decisions. He's going to run at them, he's going to make them make decisions on which way they're going to go. They've either come and jump in at him, or they're going to have to sit and hold, and he'll keep running at you. So sooner or later, he'll draw you in, either slip someone in or go straight past himself. And love that about his game.
Well, here's McDermott, cutting it back for Herefield, but getting in there and doing a good job was Jacob Bailey. Now it's a good child now. And going down the left side, I believe, I'm trying to get the number play, it was Pat Brown, I believe, that's gone down. Referee says play on, Nathan Morris. So Weston down 1-0 early here, inside the opening 6 minutes. It was Pat Brown, popped up to him on the left edge of the 18 and slotted it past Tim Pratt. There was nothing he could do about it. Liam Thornton get run down, and it is going to be a throw for Hamilton well inside their own half. Mason Campbell down the line. Brock Oakley gets his head to it. Now with Carl Thornton. McDermott. Back to Carl Thornton again, across to Nick Thompson. First touch a bit heavy, and now Pat Brown has some space down that left side. We had a game, Hamilton Edgeworth, probably, how long ago was that now? Probably a month ago now. Pat Brown started that game, and he really struggled, and he was brought off at half time. So that goal, Chris, is going to give him the world of confidence.
Yeah, he's been scoring goals for Hamilton for a few years now. 2 years ago, he was kind of off the bench a little bit, and now he seems to be getting himself a regular start.
There's Robbie Turnbull with some space down the right-hand side. He cuts back. Clout's got no one around him, but he comes off the back. I didn't know if it was didn't look like it was intended. It came back to Liam Thornton, who went back to Oakley, chipping it forward. Mason Campbell, not getting it all to the header, and goes back to Danny Ireland.
It's pretty cool play from the back pairing there. Just a couple of delicate headers in tight spaces.
Here is Nathan Morris going back to Tim Pratt.
Yeah, so back to Brock Oakley playing in the middle. He's been playing in a wider role, probably more on the right side.
Yeah, Brock Oakley, from memory early on in the season, I don't remember him starting too much, but of late, whenever we've had Weston matches, he's been a prominent figure in their back line. Yeah,
and so for him to come into the middle of the back is just going to allow for Carl Thornton to come through the middle of the park, and that, I guess, is something strategic. Oh, unlucky Robbie Turnbull there. Had half a touch on that. Would have been different. But that's going to allow Weston, as the game progresses, to have a bit of stability with him in the park, and that's obviously a strategic move from Trevor Morris, because he's going to know how dangerous Hamilton's middle are and how attacking they are. So if we can get him to sit in front, probably clean it up, almost like a front sweeper, is what he's going to be looking at and why he's playing in that position.
It's good child bumping away from Thornton, I believe it was, over there. Nick Thompson now down the right-hand side brings it back to McDermott. There's plenty of space on this left-hand side. Both the Swans playing left and right back, but Clout goes for a run, and he's absolutely sprayed that. Almost cleans up a car. Always got to get a bit nervous if you park in the ground
And it's worth having a strike in conditions like today where it's windy because the ball's going to swirl. So if you get one out of the middle, off the laces if you like, it's going to be hard for the keeper because it does move in the air, and that's where they're really dangerous. So all that one didn't turn out. Right idea. And by the way, have you got the Swin brothers worked out? I've known them for probably 10 years and still can't sort it. I had to get Bolchie to help me out last night.
Well,
We've got Matt on the right and Andrew on the left.
Well, I know Andrew's 9, I believe. Is that right? Andrew's 9, 12's Matt. So
yeah, so Bolchie hasn't stitched me up there.
if they switch numbers, I'm gone. Here's Carl Thornton. 2 sets of brothers out there this afternoon. 2 Thorntons. And they are brothers, aren't they?
They sure are. Yeah, they're brothers.
If they're not brothers, well, they've got some pretty
Liam
identical.
was at Lake Macquarie, a few years ago when I was there, so I know him pretty well and know his game well. He's been doing really well at Weston, and he's popped in a couple of goals recently as well.
Liam Thornton, yeah, he's scored just the 1 goal this year actually, and that was last week.
Okay.
Sorry, no, I've written that down wrong. Maybe it was 3 last year. I've put 1 goal in 2015, then 3 goals in 2015. So if anyone can work that out.
Anyway, he did score off his head, and he's been known to do that before as well.
Here is Edwards going back. Those crucial matches, just reminding we've got Edgeworth with a 2-0 win over South Cardiff on Friday. Adamstown and the Jaffers this afternoon. Charlestown and Maitland, Loyalcar and Magic and the Jets at Magic Park. And Magic have to win that. If they don't win it, their finals hopes, well, they'll probably be over, depending on the result in this one. And we've got a goal for the Jets youth. Thanks to that, Blake. So 1-0 the Jets youth over Broadmeadow. That is big problems for Broadmeadow Magic. I thought they did really well in the second half on Wednesday night. Wednesday night, it was Wednesday.
Well, it's a big turnaround for the Jets youth team because they have come off an absolute thumping last week from Hamilton, and whatever Mark Jones has said to them, it's worked. I wasn't there, but I did hear it was fairly vocal.
Yeah, so did I. Here's Matt Swan going for a run. Hits with his left foot, and Matt Swan scores, and Hamilton lead 2-0. They've jumped out of the blocks here at Darling Street. 15 gone, and it's Hamilton leading 2-0, Chris.
Technically, that's a
that's
very
the
good,
second goal
strong
from Hamilton
goal.
Olympic.
He's dragged his body across far enough that Matt Pratt's committed to go to the right side, and he's slotted in the bottom right. So to Matt Pratt's right side.
Well, I'm going to say right now, do not write off Weston. We're down 2-0 against Broadmeadow Magic. That was back in round 8. They came back and won 4-3.
So Tim Pratt's there, had to go to his right side, and when he's done that, it's really opened up the bottom right as Swanee struck that one in. So technically a very strong goal there. Yeah, back to Magic Jets youth. Magic won't be happy with this at all if they don't get a result today, because they'll be expecting to catch the Jets youth after when chips are down a little bit.
Here's Wilson Edwards on the ball, and Bailey coming. Yeah, how often does it happen? You see a side get thumped one week. It happens in all sport. Side gets thumped, and then the next week they come out and they take a side to the sword. We might say that in the NRL this afternoon with the Knights. I don't know what the score is, but they got thumped last week, and we'll have to find out how they're going as the ball goes back post.
Great ball in. Yeah, it's a real test of character when you come off a loss like that and how you're going to deal with it. Your team's got to come together. You've got to regroup and trust the things that have worked for you in the past, and that's where you're going to work on them through the week again. The coach is going to reinforce how that's all going to look, and then when you do, trust your instincts and what you've worked on, and go back and start again, because last week's behind you and you're just going to put this new one in front.
Chris, just while we're talking about sides coming from behind, as we said, the Hamilton with a 7-0 win over the Jets. They lead 1-0. The Knights got thumped last week, 52-6, and they lead 20-12 with about 5 to go before half time. So it works wonders, doesn't it? A good thumping one week.
Well, sometimes it's a reality check to see where you're up to, because you can just get a little bit of a false sense of security that you're doing okay, when in fact, a little bit of extra commitment goes a long way, and maybe if it's 5% difference, that's enough to make you keep scoring goals.
I think you could have a debate about the Jets youth being in the competition for 3 or 4 hours, because the fact that they're not allowed to play finals I don't understand why they are in the competition. I think if you're in the competition, you want to be able to play finals because you have that motivation. The fact that they're not in the finals this year, I don't really agree with it, but I know they're making the decision based on the fact that it's too close to their youth season. But then it's hard. It's really hard to think of both sides of the argument, and there's equal reasons on both sides, I think.
Yeah, and there's different motivation for the younger players as well. I mean, they're playing for contracts. They're playing for the future. So the way that they go about that, their thought process is going to be different. You get towards semi-final ends, sometimes get a bit tougher, a bit scrappier, a bit harder. Jets youth team probably aren't interested in too much of that. They're looking technically to be very strong and consistent. These guys will muscle up where they need to, whereas the Jets youth team probably not so much.
There's Edwards, and yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot. I think they're very technically skilled, the Jets youth, and that's one thing, as you said, that they're looking for. But a lot of them, I was reading the paper about Reece Pappas looking for a contract for next year as Liam Thornton goes down the left side. Here he comes, cutting inside, still going Liam Thornton, cuts it back to his brother Carl. Gets challenged by Brown. Referee not giving the free kick. Brown goes down the right side, he falls over. Now with Thornton. The wind very blustery as it comes across to Paul Clout on this left side. Still with Clout, he's got Mason Campbell in front of him, Paul Clout. He stabs it in. Kyle Hodges heads it away to Pat Brown. Great atmosphere this afternoon here at Hamilton as Pat Brown goes down the left-hand side. And Brock Oakley intercepts the ball. And did you think it was a free kick for the challenge on Carl Thornton, Chris?
Yeah, I did. I thought Digby got that one wrong. Sorry about that, Diggers, but he did. He brought him down, and perhaps that puts them in range, and we know what Morris is like in that sort of situation on a swirly, windy day like we've got today. So, Weston might not be so happy about that.
Well, the man of his same namesake, the coach, Trevor Morris, he was not impressed at all as Hearfield goes long, but he's put the lead boot through that one. He goes flying over the sideline on the far side of the ground. And a throw will go the way of Hamilton. Hamilton, they're undefeated in their last 3. They've only lost the 1 game this year. It's incredible how much of a disadvantage draws are. Edgeworth have had 4 losses, yet they're 6 points clear of Hamilton, who've only had the 1 loss.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the difference between taking 3 points and 1, isn't it? If you're going to convert games, then fantastic. That's the way that it works.
Here's Oakley bringing it across to Thornton. I'll go through those draws in a second for that Hamilton have had. A couple of them, ones that they'll be disappointed they probably let slip. As Andrew Swan goes to ground. And the free kick goes to Hamilton. Yeah, Adamstown Rosebuds, I had that one in round 3. That was the wet weather catch-up match that we did on Bar TV when Guy Bates hit an absolute stunner of a free kick in the last minute. They had a 1-1 draw with the Jaffers, another 2-2 draw with the Rosebuds, which I have a feeling they may have been up late. The Jaffers a 0-0 draw that we had a couple of weeks ago, and then South Cardiff where they were up 3-2. They conceded, and then the penalty, Simon Mooney had a penalty in the last minute. Was saved, and they only took 1 point away from that game as well, Hamilton. So they've had their chances. Here's Mooney stabbing it across the face. Nathan Morris gets there, and one of the Carl Thornton's been flattened. It was off
Pat
the ball.
Brown
I didn't
there.
see. Yep. Carl Thornton getting flattened by Pat Brown, who gets a yellow card. Did you see it, Chris?
Yeah, he's taken him off the ball, and he probably you won't like that if he has another look at it in the replay. You just wonder whether that's a little bit of catch-up from a few minutes ago from Pat. He might have been a bit frustrated.
Yeah, that's right. It was Pat Brown and Carl Thornton, so he's definitely making his presence felt out there. There's Turnbull across the face to Troy Hearfield. Back for Edwards, who don't know what he was doing there. Just came off the side and really nowhere near anyone. Oakley getting involved with McDermott. One of his partners in crime up front, Rob Macbeth. He's out for the rest of the season for Weston. He got a job elsewhere, so he's heading off. I read that in the paper midweek.
Trev Morris is just marshalling his troops around a little bit now. He's knowing that he's wanting to put them in position to score, and he's got to settle them down a little bit. They need to get some.
Here's a ball over the top. Goodchild's onside, and Tim Pratt's made the save. He gets back up, Goodchild, and puts it in the back of the net. And it's 3-0 to Hamilton. They're running rampant at home this afternoon, Chris.
He'd be happy that he was able to get a second stab at that, because the first one wasn't his best.
And that's the third goal scored from Hamilton Lift Big.
3-0 there. They'll be real happy with that result
Good job.
at this point in the game, because that's a solid start. Just saying, just before that goal was scored, Trevor's barking orders to his troops to settle them down. They've got to get their foot on the ball, and they've got to start keeping a bit more possession than what they've had.
Well, I don't know if you can hear on the sound effects, Mike, but you would have if it was a little bit louder, or because it doesn't pick up that much, the sound effects, from what you can't actually clearly hear what they're saying. But Trevor Morris said just before Mason Gamble kicked the ball, you know he's going to go long. You bet he went long, and everyone was asleep straight over the top. Goodchild went through like a thief in the night and should have probably finished it first time, but it doesn't matter because it's 3-0 still.
Yeah, and Goody's got that ability, you know. He's like we were talking about last week with Majerovski. We've got Goody that can hold the ball up equally as well, you know. And so playing in a 4-2-3-1 as a solo striker, he's a good target man because he's not going to get bumped around off the ball. He's going to be nice and strong with his back to goal. He'll hold it, but when he's got the opportunity to run forward, he knows where it's got to go. And even though it was a bit scrappy there, he was certainly quick enough and on his feet to get up to it quick and get put in the back of the net.
Well, he goes to double figures after that goal. 10 goals for the season for him. He scored 13 last year in 17 games. So Hamilton now with the free kick. Danny Island. So the Jets youth still leading 1-0 over Broadmeadow. Try and get those scores from the other matches, Rosebuds and Jaffers. That's a crucial match. Lambton lose that one. Still leaves the door ajar for Adamstown. It's been kept in. What's going on over there for Weston? And now back post for Simon Mooney. Can he keep it inside down in the shadow of the trees in that southern corner for Hamilton? Gets away from another Western defender, cuts it back to Tim Pratt. And it's strangely similar this game out here today to that game we did between Magic and Western, where they jumped out to a 2-0 lead, Broadmeadow. Western just didn't even look like they'd turned up. They didn't even look like they'd got off the bus, and then all of a sudden came back out probably after the 30-minute mark, and Western started playing. As it's across to Pat Brown now.
But you see that time and time again where you get off to a start. And you know what? Weston gets the next goal here, and this is what Trevor Morris will be hoping for. They get the next goal here, and all of a sudden, momentum can shift. And when that happens, these players, these Western boys, will think, all right, we're back in this, and we get one more, and then we're right in the money. So you'll just be looking for the next goal here, Trevor Morris, that's for sure.
Well, we saw on Wednesday night the Broadmeadow Magic game. They went down. There's a late hit on Reece Cooper from Gary McDermott. He's going to get a yellow card now. We saw on Wednesday night, Broadmeadow were down 3-0 at half-time. 3 quick goals for Heidelberg. They scored in the second half, and then all of a sudden, it was only 18 to go, but they were creating all sorts of problems for the Heidelberg defence. So it shows that if you can get that goal, 3 isn't that big a deficit, but they just can't let it get any worse than what it is at the moment. But Hamilton just dominating possession. Here's Simon Mooney with a bit of skill. And Wilson Edwards on the ball. Played for Lambton last year, now for Goodchild. Sits up for Coyner. He has the shot. And the less said about that, I think the better. It just sliced off his boot and almost took out the scoreboard attendant.
Well, it nearly did. Back onto Wilson Edwards. He's a guy, according to the coach, that has been probably one of their best all year, and he said that he plays pretty much anywhere. He's played most places around the park this year, and he's adaptable, and his work rate is really high. So
here's Paul Clout now. Squares it to McDermott. Edwards turned over now to Mooney. Mooney looking for Goodchild. Just a little bit heavy. Had it not been, Goodchild was away again. Weston's defence at the back just looks very... Weston's has the best defence in the competition. Not anymore. They've now conceded 20 goals, so the best defence is now Edgeworth, but don't know what is going on for them in the middle.
So they have. They've scored 22 and conceded 17. Yeah. That's prior to today's game.
Yeah, they've extended that to 20 now, but here we go. Nathan Morris with the free kick. We've seen a few scored from this position. I'm thinking of them: Guy Bates, Bren Hamill, Alex Palozzi, just to name a few that have scored from this position on Bar TV this year.
This is the one we're talking about where it can swirl depending on what sort of strike he puts on it. If he hits it with his instep, it could swirl if he bends it, which it looks like he's going to do.
Well, here it is. He goes.
Oh, gee, that's real close. They get a touch in there.
It's come off a Weston player, and they get away with that one, Hamilton. One all at Magic Park, I've just been told. Broadmeadow with the equaliser. And Broadmeadow are loving the scoreline here at Darling Street, because if Weston lose this afternoon and Broadmeadow win, there'll only be 3 points gap between Weston and Broadmeadow. And you know what? Next week it's Broadmeadow and Weston at Rockwell Automation Park, and that shapes up to be one of the most important games of the season. If Hamilton win here this afternoon and Broadmeadow win away, Broadmeadow win at home against the Jets, so we'll see how events unfold. Of course, Lambton, if they lose as well, and Broadmeadow win, there'll only be a 2-point difference. So it's all starting to tighten up around the top 5 at this point in time in the season. Adamstown 22, Magic 23 points, so very little difference between those two.
Talking about defences and Weston having the best defence in the league, interesting that we've made a change today and brought Carl Thornton into the middle of the park in a holding 2. Jim Pratt pulls that one out. Interesting that that's happened, and maybe the patterns, that they've developed and reading of the game aren't as what they were with Brock coming into the middle. Maybe not, but certainly 3 goals at this point in the game is a solid start. And I wonder if Trevor's got any doubts in his mind about the decision, of moving Carl out of there. But, on the other hand, you've got to score goals, and Jacob Bailey's going to run riot in the middle of the park if you let him play. So that's the reason that you'd be thinking that he's going to bring Carl Thornton in the middle. We were talking about Goody before and his ability to hold the ball up. He's got 2 players and still gets a ball into the box. So that's just his strength. That's the way he does it. That's his craft.
Well, Hodges, I thought there was a handball there. Herefield goes long range. Well, I thought there was a handball from Kyle Hodges. It bounced over the top. Troy Herefield, they were playing advantage.
Not sure why he's gone about and pulling the trigger from there.
Broadmeadow, sorry Chris, Broadmeadow leading 2-1 against the Jets youth. So
okay,
Broadmeadow fans are getting happier and happier as the afternoon goes along here.
Yeah, tough. It's a tough ask to beat Danny Island from where Herefield was pulling the trigger then.
Pat Brown off just slice it, or didn't get much on it. It goes to Tim Pratt. Now Blake's just written down some under 22 scores. So Edgeworth 2-1 over Southie on Friday night. Lambton went down 3-1 to Adamstown. Bit of an upset there. The Jets won 3-0 over Magic, and Hamilton 4-1 over Weston. So some important fixtures there in the 22s. A reminder that we have got all those matches live grand final day on the 6th of September on Bar TV, just like last year, those 19s and 22s fixtures. So it should be a wonderful day.
Turnbull on the ball. He's a real menace, Robbie Turnbull.
Been around for a long time. Played his 200.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a fantastic guy, and he's brilliant for the club. But he's a handful out in the park for any opposition because he just doesn't go away. He epitomises everything Weston stands for, that guy.
Well, here's Wilson Edwards bumping away from Mason Campbell. Plays it to McDermott. And now with Poiner. Swan now, Andrew Swan. Finds space for Reece Cooper. There's been plenty of space for Hamilton today. He's only scored 1 goal this year as Reece Cooper. Tried to play it wide, and Brock Oakley, probably lucky, it just clipped him. And now another interception for Matt Swan down the right-hand side. Thornton, a bit of a late shot from Swan on Thornton. Referee plays advantage, but there was no real reaction from Thornton, and Hamilton with the free kick. Weston before today, just the one loss away from home, and that was against the Lambton Jaffers when they led 3-0. So it could have been very close. Could have been very close to being undefeated away from home. Just a score in from Lambton, they lead 1-0. Sorry, from Adamstown, they lead 1-0 over the Rosebuds. They really need a victory this round, the Jaffers. And no scores from Charlestown and Maitland, so we're going to say 0-0 at the moment in that one.
So I'm just going to be careful not to overhit it, which he does. This is wind is a little bit hard to predict how much pace you've got to put on the ball, and we saw it over here with Nathan Morris down in the corner at the bit earlier in the game. The same there with Simon. So ideally, you want to put it a little bit lower and a bit firmer if you can do that.
Yeah, just went over the back post. Played forward now for McDermott. So 34, just over 34 gone in the game. It's been an entertaining one if you're a Hamilton fan or if you're a neutral fan. Not great if you're a fan of the Bears this afternoon.
Well, we know this club loves to hear the old ding-a-ling from the bell when it rings, and they've heard that a few times so far. So I wonder how much more that's going to be this afternoon. The way they're going, you can't think that it's going to stop. So, 10 minutes before half-time, the important thing is we don't you don't concede another goal for Weston, and they're the next to score. That's got to be what's going through their minds right now, because if you go into half-time, then you've got a real big ask to win the game. You've got to come out and turn that around, not have them score, and you've got to pop in 5. Going to 4-0 is real bad timing. Anything before half-time.
Well, here's Reece Cooper. Goats it away to Mooney. Now Liam Thornton, I believe it was Carl Thornton actually, saw the flash of yellow, the captain's armband, and an offside against Hamilton. So it'll be a free kick for Nathan Morris. For Danny Ireland, played for the Jaffers last year. Also, 2008 to 2012, he was on the books of Coventry City over in the UK, but he was loaned out to Nuneaton Town, Halesowen Town and Forest Green Rovers before returning to Australia in 2012, and I've probably got a couple of those wrong, so if you're from that neck of the woods, here's Reece Cooper stabbing it across. You can tell me that I stuffed it up, but Danny Ireland's been very tough to beat this year in all the games that I've seen.
Look, the first game back when I was coaching, he was playing for Lambton. And honestly, anything that was in the 6-yard box he had, any shot that was put on goals, even if it was going to clean the spider webs out, he still got a hand to it or pushed it away. We could not get the ball past this guy. Just an absolute phenomenon in goals. And he's that's what I was saying, a shot from Troy Harefield from there. I'm not sure about that one because he's just going to have it covered.
Here's the ball forward, Coiner. Goes over the top, just flicks it to Matt Swan. Takes into the corner and off Cloughton over the sideline. Yeah, that last side he played for Forest Green Rovers. He didn't play that many games for Coventry City. As I said, he was loaned out to those other two sides, Nuneaton and Halesowen. But he played a few games for Forest Green Rovers. They played in the Conference Premier, which is the league below League 2. So it's the 5th tier of English football, which is pretty good if you ask me, playing in that sort of competition.
Yeah, for sure it is. I mean, you're going to England, and we've got a country that's treating it like a religion, the game. And he's playing in a country where the passion is so high. Mooney on the ball, and he's away, and he's on.
Getting in there was Thornton. Goes down towards the sideline. Thornton keeps it in, goes down, and we've got a foul. And free kick goes to Weston. Yeah, those Forest Green Rovers, they were very close to getting promoted to the League 2 this season. That's just gone. They finished 5th. They made the playoffs, and they were beaten by Bristol Rovers, who went up to League 2. They're a pretty well-known side over in the UK, Bristol, so they're back into League 2. Wilson Edwards now on the ball. Bit of a trip down to European football there. It's always interesting. I find that really interesting, looking up all the players and the stories you have. I was doing some research on Michael Bridges earlier in the year about him playing for Leeds and how they were that close to winning the Champions League. Leeds, I was thinking Leeds are not even in the top tier anymore.
It's a handball there.
Free kick goes to Weston.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, some of the players we've got playing in this league now, and where they've been, and some of the stadiums that they've played in.
Gary Kenneth, of course, he's gone back over to Scotland. He was hoping to catch some matches out of Adamstown playing over the the back half of the season, but it's ricochets away to Goodchild. Still with Kane Goodchild, plays it to Mooney, who just slipped over. Yeah, no matches for Adamstown unless they make the finals. We've got Weston the next 2 weeks. Up there at Weston against Magic and then against Edgeworth in the final round. So a couple of good matches to come on Bar TV. Swan now. Clout going down. I think he may have gone over a little easy there, Matt Swan. Don't think Paul Clout put that too much force into him.
That's just a bit of experience there. They'll get themselves reset and they'll send the ball down the other end of the park and continue on their attacking way because they've been doing a fair bit of it. Jacob Bailey's really been rolling his sleeves up in the middle of the park. It hasn't been overly pretty for him, but he's just getting it done.
There's Thornton, goes to Cloud. Over towards the sideline. I'm thinking there could be a change at half-time, and I think probably the best thing for Weston is to put Jamie Subat out there, sitting down on the bench just in front of ours. He played very well in that game against Broadmeadow Magic.
Well, it must have been a change because Trevor Morris said to me last night that Subat was going to be starting today and Harefield on the bench because he's been away for work or away for something. So I don't know what's changed there, but you know what, Subi coming on is not a bad thing because they need some goals and he's a man that can deliver.
Well, here's it across to the far side. Nick Thompson back to Thornton. Still with Thornton. Just one thing I've noticed with Wilson Edwards, he's got 2 straps of electrical tape just above his knee on both sides. I'm trying to wonder what that would be for as he comes back for Hodges.
I don't know. It might be. It could be.
Comes back Nick Thompson, now to Brock Oakley.
Players do different things, you know, with superstition. Some guys put, you know, always their right boot on first, you know, and then their left, or they might have to have their socks roll up above their knees, or, you know, some guys wear a wristband and, you know, write things on it, you know, all sorts of different superstitions. Here's Swan.
Yeah, he's got space here, Andrew Swan. He's got Mooney running through and not his best ball. It's Riley McNaughton scores for Lambton. And it's 2-0 to the Jaffas over the Rosebuds at Adamstown Oval. So it looks like if Adamstown can't get back in that one, their finals hopes are over. There's now McDermott across to Harefield. Still with Troy Harefield, wide to Thornton. Cut back inside. Morris. He was looking across to Thompson. And now it's Liam Thornton running through. Playing it back to Nathan Morris. Robbie Turnbull sees some space and goes through and wins a free kick for Weston. And he's going to win, well, he's going to win one of the Hamilton players a yellow card. Is it Reece Cooper?
There's a bit of discussion that has just been going on between Oakley and Morris. Morris is not happy about something, but what I have been noticing is the distance between them. And sometimes, you know, you need to be a little bit tighter together. Sure, you've got to pick up your men as they come through, but you don't want big gaps between your defences laterally. So, you know, maybe it's something that they could look at is tightening that up a little bit.
Well, here's Nathan Morris with that free kick. It's well positioned as always. Goes back post, bit of a scramble. There's a Western player down in the box. It's Clout. Runs over the sideline. It was Brock Oakley, I think it was, sorry. Who went down. He's up and fine now. Just that head-to-head, their last 6 matches, they've split them. 3 wins for Hamilton and 3 for Weston. So pretty even. These two, and Lambton are running rampant at Adamstown Oval. They lead 3-0. Thornton back to Oakley.
Yeah, that's not the best from Oakley there. Just sets Olympic just back up on the attack. Fortunately, Mooney's made a bit of an error.
Swan trying to get the ball quickly to Mooney after that tackle on Thornton. Thornton got back up and knocked it down the line. Now for Clout. Plays it down the line again for Herefield. He's got Robbie Turnbull back post. He plays it to McDermott with a shot, and Danny Ireland. There's those Inspector Gadget arms you were talking about, Chris.
Yeah, he's really hard to get past, and it's got to be frustrating. I can't tell you if it was actually on target. Looked very, very close, but if you hit a shot like that with this breeze blowing, you're going to be disappointed. And that just shows the quality that he has, Ireland.
Fantastic goalkeeper. And he'll be a great asset for them in the finals.
Morris is hitting this one into quite a breeze here, so he's going to really punch it through, which he does.
He goes low, but Thornton with the header across to
Turnbull.
Thompson. And now it sits up, a chance for Herefield to finish, and he'll rue that one. That was a great opportunity to beat Danny Ireland for the first time this afternoon.
Yeah, you know, he was certainly just in and around the edge of the 6-yard box when he hits that, and he'd be very disappointed he didn't put that on target, because that was a big opportunity. You know what, when you're sitting at 44 minutes in, 3-1, that can change things around in the second half. Right now, Weston have got to change a couple of things. They've got to come out, their half-time discussion has got to look something along the lines of, we need to get more possession of the football, we've got to get it down the ground on a windy day, and we've got to keep a lot more possession what we've had. Concentrate on keeping the football.
As Pat Brown goes down the left-hand side, he keeps away from Nick Thompson, rolls the shot, but it goes straight to Pratt, brings it across to Liam Thornton. Overall, these two sides have met 54 times. Olympic have won 23, Weston 22, so that just shows you how even it is overall. Last 6-3 all, and 54 games they've played overall, 23-22 in favour of Olympic. So very, very even. Reece Cooper, he's going to blow the handball against Herefield.
I don't think we've had too much stoppage time here, so I wouldn't expect to see too much.
Yeah, just ticking over now to 45, so it's only a matter of moments before we go into half-time. Mason Campbell over the top. Simon Mooney was down there, but Liam Thornton with a header over the sideline. Throw towards Ben Coyner. Now Thornton up the line. McDermott just went over his head. Now Cooper across to the left-hand side for Swan. It's Andrew Swan. He's got some pace. Wilson Edwards trying to get across and stop him in his tracks. And the referee calls an end to proceedings in the first half here at Darling Street. Andrew Swan and Wilson Edwards both unhappy with each other in that last challenge, having a few heated words, so it'll be interesting to see that continue in the second half. But Chris, what were your thoughts on the first 45 of action?
Yeah, it's obviously with the wind being the way it is, it's always going to be a bit harder to control the football, but Weston are the team that have got to do that. They've got to get themselves more involved in keeping the ball for mine, and when they keep the ball, they'll create more chances. Olympic, on the other hand, have been able to get themselves down in opposition territory and deep in there and often. So when you do that, you're going to put yourself in position to score. And, sure, a couple of opportunity goals there, but they're in position to score them. So 3-0, and, I'd be liking to listen to what Trevor Morris has got to say at halftime, because he's got to change something about right now.
So we'll go to halftime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the second half in about 10 minutes' time. It's Hamilton Olympic 3 leading Weston 0.
This is for the players. For those that leap into battle in the blink of an eye. For the drivers that compete for their club, no matter where they are. For everyone who has triumphs, tips and tricks to share.
And for those who love to play with complete freedom, this is for the game changers, the innovators. This is for the players. This is PS4.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
Real guys, real sport. Bar TV.
Hello and welcome back to the second half at Darling Street. And it is 3-0. We have got 2 changes for Weston. Gary's just having a chat to Jack, so I'm just having a look on the ground. We've got 2 changes. Number 28, who, because I haven't got a Weston team sheet, I'm unsure of who it is. And Jamie Subat's on the ground. We're just double checking that. Subat now across the ground, because on our 28 down for Weston is Gonzalez Velez, but he's definitely not out there.
Yeah, it's definitely not Lucas Gonzalez.
We'll double check that. We're just going to double check with Gary who number 28 is for Weston. As now it's with Thornton, Carl Thornton. So we expected some changes, Chris, and that's exactly what's happened in the second half.
Yeah, he's needed to make a change.
As here's Simon Mooney with some space down the right-hand side early on. That's the change at the back. Oakley's gone off, and now Reece Cooper with some space. And now Thornton.
He's really picked him out there, Simon. He's got the option there to go at him one-on-one and do what we were talking about earlier and run and make the player make a decision, or fancied whipping one in, and whipping one in he did.
And now Goodchild. Hamilton just seemed to be getting first to the ball a lot of the time this afternoon. As it goes over towards the sideline. Swan with the throw. Now with Andrew Swan across the ground. Back for Reece Cooper. Reece Cooper goes for the shot. Tim Pratt will take that one. Was on target, but it was too easy for Tim Pratt, and he looks for Jamie Subat, who just keeps it inside on that far side of the ground. Runs down to Mason Campbell. And now it's Ben Coyner, across to Mooney. Now looking for Goodchild, but Morris gets there with the head. And now it's back with Reece Cooper. He's got some space. With the shot, it was blocked by a couple of Western defenders. It was Thornton and his brother, Liam and Carl, coming across. And
nice use of his body there to weave in and around it to create an opportunity like that.
Here's Turnbull. He was looking over the top. Mason Campbell. Now Mooney.
So Trevor Morris has done the sensible thing here, I think, in putting Carl Thornton and Morris back in that combination, back central in the back. Obviously what he was trying to achieve before didn't quite work out.
It was a surprising decision because, as we were saying early, Weston with the best defence in the comp coming into this match. 3 goals in the opening 15. Their defence just really looked awful, disjointed. And there's Nick Thompson trying to put a ball in and hasn't got a very good piece of that, and it'll be a goal kick for Danny Ireland.
Yeah, the logic behind it is okay. I mean, you know, what you're thinking is you're going to bring Brock Oakley in there, sit in there next to Morris, and just lock things up. You just ask them to mark the players, make sure Goody doesn't get away, get him back to goal as often as you can, and then releasing Thornton to work with Bailey. As I said before, he's rolled his sleeves up in this game, and he doesn't have to do it overly pretty. He just needs to get it done, and that he is.
Over the top, Goodchild flicking it on. Nathan Morris now. Wilson Edwards. Thornton back to Morris. That centred defensive pairing that Chris just spoke about back together again for the second half. Morris goes forward for Herefield. How much of an impact does it have, the fact that Hamilton have Danny Ireland in goals for a striker? You know, you've got a keeper with a really good reputation as a fantastic shot stopper. How much does it play into your mind as a striker at all?
Yeah, it does. It plays a lot because you've got it all of a sudden, unlike what Troy Harefield's done, but you've got to make sure it's got to be in the right spot and with the right sort of power. Anything that's kind of loose or half, you know, what normally would be okay, a strike on goal that may go in, you just know he's going to get it done.
Ball runs down. That was a really weird decision from the referee. He gave the free kick. Weston took it quickly, kicked it straight into Coyner, which I thought constituted a yellow card, but there must have been some sort of difference in the decision the referee did make. The Weston fans weren't happy at all. Herefield now. Squaring it across to Thornton.
He's Bailey. Strong on the ball, very strong on the ball there. And that's, again, just pick it up and roll it off. He's done his job. And Hamilton keeping the ball a little bit more than what Weston are, is creating some opportunities for them, as they are right here, right now.
Well, Nick Thompson did really well there to let it run over the byline. And a little bit of push and shove. A little bit of push and shove between Thompson and Pat Brown.
Yeah. Young Brownie's been a bit fired up today. He's normally got a ton of adrenaline inside him, but he seemed to let himself out a bit.
The raffle tickets, please. First one is black E80. That's black E80. And purple.
And that defensive tackle there was a good one, because you've got to be careful with those. That can easily result in a penalty. So, he shielded the ball out particularly well. Held himself strong.
That number 28 for Weston that's come on for Brock Oakley, Isaac Peake, going after Pat Brown there. Now for Morris. Stabs one over the top. Robbie Turnbull down the right-hand side. Still Turnbull. Cuts it back towards Herefield. Just ran away from him. Now Bailey clearing it over towards the sideline where Simon Mooney is.
He's found Mooney, but I'm not sure if he meant to. He's just... I think the communication wasn't great. He seemed to clear it in a bit of panic there for some reason.
He looked like it was just a bit of a clearance. And
yeah, for sure. He looked like... he thought he might have had someone around him.
So quick, Simon Mooney didn't get across there. It's now with Coiner. Cross coming in was Nick Thompson in the back of Goodchild. Went down now with Coiner. Coming at him was Edwards. He played it across. Pratt had a bit of a fumble, and the free kick goes Hamilton's way. Simon Mooney, we know he can strike them from this range, so we'll see what he can come up with. About 20 metres out from goal.
Yeah, and Simon can strike them from range here. I mean, he's been known to hit them low as well. He doesn't necessarily need to go over the top, which a lot of players do. We'll see what he does in the wind today, but I won't be surprised to see if he wants to try and bend one around the right side of the wall here. He's got the ability to do it, that's for sure, but in the wind he might just take one off the instep and just drill it. We'll see.
Well, here goes Simon Mooney. Tim Pratt off the bar.
Well, there you go from Simon. Very close.
I didn't look like it was going in, but just dipped at the last minute on top of the bar and made it seem probably a bit closer than what it was in the end. As Pratt goes over halfway with the goal kick. Subat getting there first with a header. And Weston free kick goes their way.
You know what? Morris is probably going to fancy himself maybe from here, maybe not. Here's the option. What do? You're going to hit one from there in the wind? Maybe not. So this one's probably going to go over the back of the defence. Looking for Subat, Morris.
Well, here it is. Knocked towards Thornton. Got his head to it, and it's going to be a goal kick for Danny Ireland. Weston, probably the best chance they've had Gary McDermott laid on in the first half. Apart from that, they really haven't created too much this afternoon.
Yeah, one of the big things when you're 3-0 behind, you don't want to leave it 20 minutes to go trying to grab in 4. So, the earlier they can get one, the better. Thinking probably from Trevor Morris is to get the back line sorted out, because it wasn't quite what it should be, and then we can build it on from there. Obviously, Subat coming into the team's got to give them some extra firepower, and for the first part of this game, let's just say that they've had enough of the possession, which was probably lacking for them in the first half.
Here's Thornton going all the way back to Tim Pratt.
It's one of the things when your defensive four in particular are settled in their play, it gives the rest of the team a good foundation to play off. They're not going to panic. They'll come out calmly, and that sets you up for a good possession base for the next play. I don't think they got that in the first half too much.
Yeah, those first 15, there was so much space for Hamilton. It was really surprising. And a space that they were offered by Weston at the back. Tim Pratt now. Wasn't much he could do. Probably the first goal was unlucky. It ricocheted around to Pat Brown, who slotted it. But apart from that, the second 2 goals that Hamilton scored in the game through Goodchild and Swan were as a result of poor defence at the back. And Hamilton, another free kick goes their way. We saw last week a lot of free kicks going Edgeworth's way against Lambton. This afternoon, a lot of going the way of the home side, seems to me. Comes out to Subat. Now with Thornton. Get back on the inside. Mason Campbell goes to Cooper. Kyle Hodges up the ground. Thornton just getting his head to it and over the sideline.
Darren Sills, the assistant coach. Weston's unusually quiet on the bench today. It's good. We're sitting from here. We're close enough to throw something at him. He's good fun, Silsy.
I'm sure I'd want us to throw. He was trying to interrupt our intro. I should go down and here's Herefield. Goes across to him, coming in with Swan. Referee gives the free kick to Hamilton. I'm in shock. Swan goes down. I thought that's a free kick to Weston, and he gave it to Hamilton. And Trevor Morris is on the ground, kicking it back to Hamilton. Did you think that was a free kick going Hamilton's
look, I did.
way?
And, you know, Trevor, you have a look at Trevor, he's probably about to blow a gasket there because you get that opportunity. That's the one that launches you into the game if you get something to go in for you. And, you know, he might be thinking about that one later tonight and won't be happy about it.
Yeah, Trevor, I should say Darren Sills is always getting into all the post-match interviews we ever do when there's a Western game. So we'll see. We might see him again this afternoon. Here's Wilson Edwards.
Yeah, Weston's Uncle Fester.
He's been great to us this year, Darren. He's been fantastic. So and Weston done a lot for in terms of their speaking about getting some sponsorship boards to do the post-match interviews with behind next year. So that'll be fantastic. Looking forward to next season as Mason Campbell just down for Hamilton.
Yeah, and Morris again on the sideline, a bit frustrated. He's up on his feet. He's getting involved and barking some orders, getting things out there, and he's talking to his players fairly intensely. He knows how important getting a result, pretty soon is in terms of a goal. So, free kick like that's only going to add to the frustration, or the one they didn't get.
Well, they've only got the one substitution left, Paul Clout and Brock Oakley sitting down on the bench. There's not much talking going down there for Weston this afternoon. Let's put down the line. Subat and Isaac Peake going on the ground. Hasn't created too much for them. And they've had a fantastic record this year, Weston, when Bar TV have when we've done their games, they haven't lost a match this year. So there could be a first today if they don't get on the ball. But here's Subat now down the left-hand side. And it's a corner for Weston, so maybe a chance for them to get a goal back.
Just briefly mentioned Lucas Gonzalez before. Lucas from Colombia, and he was doing really well for Weston earlier, and then he got a bad injury, and then he's come back working through the 22s and apparently scored what Trevor Morris describes as the goal of the year in the under-22s. But his girlfriend is studying, and she's decided to go back home, which means something to do with his visa. He can't be a part of that, and he's gone back too.
Well, that's going to be... Well, that went very, very close. Referee gives the goal kick.
Yeah, so Lucas has either just left the country or just about to through lack of visa, which is a bit of a shame for Weston because they could have used him through the final series.
Yeah, I've only seen him in the one match play for Weston this year, but no, that's going to be a big loss for them this season.
Yeah, he is. He's technically very strong, and he's a good player on a day like today when you want lots of possession and you want people to stroke it around. He'll do that for you.
Here's a ball over the top. It was Pat Brown getting through, but ran a little bit too far and goes to Tim Pratt. Turnbull getting up. Now with Peake going across the ground. He's got Reece Cooper coming at him from behind. Robbie Turnbull pushing up the field a lot today. I think the last game we had, he was playing it right back for the first part of the season as Subat. Was that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that could be right. So they're playing a 4-2-3-1. He's playing on the three behind the lone striker on the right-hand side. And he's got that release to get up as far as he likes, as long as he's got a defensive job, that he's taking care of as well. But he's certainly sitting very high at the moment.
Here's Thornton going back to Pratt. Goes long over the top. Troy Herefield now. Can he get in front of it? Mason Campbell. Referee gives the free kick to Hamilton here again. Just
yeah, I
outside.
actually agree with Diggers on that one. Digby, I think Harefield is pushing a little bit more than he should have there. You can go shoulder to shoulder, but once you start, pushing your player with your arm, then that's where that infringement has come from.
Long, Thornton getting up, running towards his brother now, and a little bit of the energy just going out of the game.
Yeah, interesting you say that, Ben, because now we're almost a quarter of an hour in, and you've got to be thinking the longer this game goes, you don't want it to go flat for Weston. You need it to be high tempo to create some chances.
Here's Mason Campbell, goes through for Morris. Yeah, they really need a goalie. Weston runs past Nick Thompson. Now Pat Brown. Thompson and Brown going at it again. Thompson goes down. And they're at it again, those two. Nick Thompson and Pat Brown. Tim Pratt. Bit of a personal battle going on between those two this afternoon. As it runs down to Danny Ireland. I think that's probably the toughest thing, being able to beat Danny Ireland.
You just look at the reach on the guy. He's just, almost intimidating to look at as far as the strikers are concerned. And when they've got themselves in range, there's a lot of guy to get past. So he's someone that's going to be fantastic for Hamilton through the semi-finals and finals.
Well, Lambton are responding from that 2-1 defeat last week to Edgeworth. They lead 4-0 at Adamstown, putting the Cleaners through the Rosebuds as it comes back to Mason Campbell.
Yeah, that is a good turnaround for them. And again, they would have had some discussions through the week about what the rest of their season looks like. Edgeworth are going to be hard to catch from here, but they know they can finish, and they want to be playing in grand final day, and that'll be big on their minds because everyone wants to play that day, so they've got to be better than what they were last week. And it sounds like they are.
Well, one of the most disappointing parts of last week is we had too much loudspeaker noise for the post-match interviews for last week's game as Nick Thompson flies into the bench. Dave Tancheski was not happy at all with Edgeworth after last week. He was saying that they were a little bit too physical, he thought, and they were getting away with it. So it was interesting. It was a controversial, one of the most controversial interviews that I've done this season. And he wasn't impressed at all.
Look, putting my coach's hat on, when I've been in a situation like that and you come up a loss, after the game it's a pretty tough time. You're wearing a lot.
That's a substitution for Hamilton.
No intent, the way I do, he would have taken that one pretty tough. Obviously he did, and sometimes things may get a little bit distorted for you, and in a couple of days' time you have a rethink and think, okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't the way I wanted it to be. Maybe it was a bit over the top that he was saying. But it's certainly exaggerated post-match, that's for sure. It's a shame you had your audio issue because it would have been good to have on it. Have a look at it later.
Yeah, that's right. As Thompson goes across to Thornton. I think Dave Tancheski's happy it didn't go up. There's Thornton on that far side.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He might regret a couple of things he said. I don't know what he said. But
I asked him about the refereeing, and he said he couldn't comment because he actually got banned for 2 matches last year commenting about the refereeing. So we've got a free kick going to Weston. The Weston fans love that. Not happy at all with the Weston this afternoon with the free kicks. I thought that was taken way too quickly. They didn't let anyone settle. Just went for it and probably rushed it. It looks long, but it's going to make for an interesting battle in the finals. With the result today, Lambton will be there, and Edgeworth as well, 6 points clear. So they'll be there too, and Hamilton, the way they're going, will be there as well. So it'll be Weston and Magic, who we're going to do battle next week. That match is going to be critical in deciding who gets that 4th and final spot. Last score we got, as here goes Pat Brown on the left side, was Magic 2-1 over the Jets youth. He stabs it across, goal looking for Goodchild that runs over the byline, and it's going to be a goal kick again for Tim Pratt.
Good build up there, great ball from Mooney onto Brown, and the ball wasn't bad in either. So, possession-wise, Olympics seem to be doing things a little bit better from mine, and if they can keep this going, this game's just ticking away on us, getting towards 20 minutes now.
As here's Subat trying to get there first, but didn't get the shot he wanted and over the goal line. Yeah, the match after halftime really, first half was very entertaining, and second half has been lifeless and dead.
Look, what Weston have done is they've got their back four sorted out, so that looks good from here. What they need to do now is use that stability to get more possession and get down into their area more often, because when they're down there, that's when they're going to be able to score, without stating the obvious. But where it was disjointed before, and it was entertaining, but they were all over the shop early. They didn't have the ability to really lock things up and make sure that Olympic weren't going to be able to keep them out, keep them out of bay. But this time, that looks a little lot more structured and it looks organised. But you're right, the game's gone a little bit flat at the moment.
Comes out to Thornton. Now Bailey getting in. Can Pat Brown get there before? He does so. He gets there before Tim Pratt, and he makes it 4-0 to Hamilton.
And Brown, a cool finish there. He could have gone across the goals, which would have made it a bit tougher with Pat Brown getting across Paddy, but going into in that slot he did on the near side was definitely the way to go.
He hasn't had anything to say to Nick Thompson, but he made out as if, where were you, mate? Coasted past him.
Well,
he's got 2 on him this afternoon. He's won that battle.
With the amount of energy that he's had going, he's calmly slotted that and put it away with authority. So terrific finish.
Well, he's going to get a lot of confidence out of those 2 goals, and Weston's for and against is suffering badly. They're back to +1 now. And if they concede another one, they'll be equal, which isn't good at all, because Broadmeadow Magic are +11. So if it comes down to a goal difference battle between those two in the final 2 rounds, they're not going to win that as it runs over the sideline. Robbie Turnbull. Now to Wilson Edwards. So the game will really start to open up now, you think, for both sides. Now with the 4th goal going in. I was surprised Tim Pratt. I was thinking Tim Pratt might get there, but I think it was just a little bit further away from him than what the angle where the angle that we're sitting at, what it looked like.
Yeah, the ball's either going to go across his body or it's going to be hit, low into the left corner as Pat Brown's looking at it. With the speed and the power that he's put on it, and literally inside 1 metre on the left side of the post, they're hard to stop. It doesn't matter who you are; they're going to be difficult to pull out.
What is going on with Hamilton's attack the last 2 weeks? 11 goals in their last 110. Not 11, I should say. 14 goals in their last 2.5 matches. Sits up for Turnbull. Danny Island just gets there. Yeah, they're since that 0-0 draw against Lambton that we had, they've scored 14 goals in 2.5 matches.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got Goodchild up front, you've got Mooney, you've got Brown, you've got Coyner. You put all of those guys can score goals. Coyner has scored goals, and plenty of them over the last few years at crucial times and been great. Then sitting in behind, with Cooper and Bailey, they're setting a good foundation. Bales is again just on the ball, and he's just making sure that he's the front cover of their back four and making sure that they get the ball stroked around. He's been doing it all day. So, where have they get the goals from? Because they've got a good solid midfield, and the 2-3 in front all score goals, and the single guy, Goodchild, he's able to put them away. And he's playing with his back to goal and holding things up till the play catches up. So that's where they're coming from, mate. They keep this sort of form up, they could go all the way in this competition in the final series.
Been kept down in the corner and knocked back for Goodchild. Back for Cooper. A little bit of deflection. Tim Pratt makes the save. And it goes over the goal line. Tom Davies has come on for Hamilton. And we've got 2-2 at Magic Park. So the intrigue continues. And Ben Coyne is going to come off, and Jason Koratich is coming onto the ground for Olympic. Pat Brown over on the far side. I didn't see who came off when
That's
Tom Davies
substitution
went on.
for
Did you see?
Olympic.
Was it one of the Swan?
Ben Coyner, being replaced by number 19.
One of the Swan brothers, I think it was. It was one of them. I'll just try and double check who that is. It's tempted to be stabbed in over there.
They could have swapped sides, you wouldn't know. So,
That's right.
so just run with Swan.
It's now back for Thompson. Went across to Peake. Looked up the middle of the ground. It was Andrew Swan that went off. Matt Swan still out there. Nick Thompson goes to McDermott. Goes down the line. Nick Thompson after it. Can he get it just before it goes into the goal line? He does so. Cuts it back, but it's into the side netting. Wasn't impressed at all with that. Frustrated. Took it out on the advertising at the back of the ground.
Yeah, Tom Davies, he's just coming back in. He's been on the bench today, of course, but then his last game was against South Cardiff, and it was found out that he had a broken toe. He broke his toe early in the game and played for 40 minutes from when he had that broken toe. So, he's obviously a tough character if he's able to play through that.
Well, it's good that he's been able to come back in just a couple of weeks, because broken bones normally take a little bit longer to deal. I broke my finger. They told me I couldn't play cricket for the rest of the season last season. But I didn't take the advice and I kept playing. Luckily, I didn't get struck there, so that was quite lucky.
Anyway, let's go. Let's run with this. That's come from Bolcher. He could be stitching me up. Maybe he didn't have a broken toe.
Well, I read in the paper he did. So
okay. Well, he's back out there. So
he's a good child. Isn't that one of the first rules when you're playing sport? You just don't listen to the doctors. Just go back out and keep playing. Here's Edwards.
I'm staying right out of that one.
I'm going to get in trouble with the concussion doctors now. As Pat Brown runs across to take that corner for Hamilton. So 20 minutes to go in this one. 4-0 Hamilton leading Weston. Great to have your company this afternoon from Darling Street. Kane Goodshot with the header. Tim Pratt just gets there in front of Reece Cooper. Chris Turner with me in commentary this afternoon. Former Maitland and Lake Macquarie coach. Great to have him with us. And Jamie Subat with a throw for Weston. Robbie Turnbull on the ball now. Some space down the middle. Short footsteps. This ball was looking for Herefield, but it was intercepted by Campbell. Flicked on by Goodchild. He gets it away to Pat Brown, and Pat Brown is looking for a hat-trick. Tim Pratt comes out, and that's a fantastic finish from Pat Brown. Shows the crowd that number 17. He has been on fire this afternoon, Chris.
Oh, look, his run, his timing of his run there to stay on side.
And that's the
catch his
fifth goal
defender
scored
on
from
the
Harold
turn.
Westfield.
You can't
And
teach
that's a
that.
hat-trick for
You can
number
explain it.
17.
You can explain it, but guys either do it or they don't. His timing was perfect. Slid him aside. And what a great finish that is. That's two good finishes with confidence in a row there, and both from different sides of the goal.
And that's his 5th goal of the season. He scored 4 last year, and he's overtaken it in this afternoon's match.
I was looking forward to this Thompson-Pat Brown match-up today because I thought it would be very entertaining. It has been. So there's been a bit of niggle, there's been a bit of razzmatazz, but that finish there was top shelf.
Here's McDermott cutting it back, and over on that side of the ground, Matt Swan putting over the goal line.
Yeah, Swanee's just making sure he knew there was someone behind him, and probably Robbie Turnbull. He's not letting him have a sniff. It's 5-0, and he's going to put that thing out.
So make it 15 goals for Hamilton in the last 2.5 matches, or a bit more than 2.5. Comes back for Morris, trying his luck. And that one's almost over the fence. It is over the fence, I think. That's out of Darling Street, and Danny Ireland will have the goal kick now. What's going on this afternoon for Weston? It just... You didn't expect this when you did... Well, I didn't expect it. Did you expect a scoreline like this?
I thought we were going to have something a lot closer, and an early goal or two for Weston would have been handy, but it hasn't gone their way in that respect. In fact, a bit of a speculator down there for the first goal, and they just seem to have gone on with it. Weston just haven't had enough of the football to make a real fist of it. Robbie Turnbull's getting a bit frustrated, and a couple of the other boys. There's some heavy tackles starting to happen.
When you get a big scoreline, sometimes there's frustration. As here's Herefield going down the right-hand side. He's got Men in the middle, he's got Gary McDermott. McDermott stepping away. McDermott shot into Mason Campbell. Comes back for Robbie Turnbull. Turnbull on the edge of the 18. Squares it across to Nick Thompson. Still Nick Thompson. Knocking it in. The shot is in the back of the net. It's Gary McDermott who gets one back for Weston. They needed that. If not for the game, they also needed it for their for and against, Chris.
Yeah, look, this is typical of what we were talking about before. They got a little bit on the ball, got some possession. Robbie Turnbull spins it wide.
First goal scored for Weston.
Get across in, and that's what can happen. They've just got to get on the ball more often. They've got to keep possession. And unfortunately, Olympic have been better at that than them today.
They really desperately needed that, Weston. They were +5 before this game. 22 goals for, 17 against. It's now 23-22 with that goal there. And Broadmeadow Magic 2-2 at the moment with the Jets youth, which would take them to 24 points. It'd make it very difficult if they didn't win to make it into the finals. They need to win their last two and hope that Weston only could get a point, because they do have it over them in the goals for and against. And Jacob Bailey comes to the sideline.
So he's coming off because it's all right. Bolter's recognised he's done a ton of work. The stuff that he's been doing today probably, goes unnoticed, a lot of the work that he does. He's put his body on the line. He's thinking, all right, I'll give him a rest. We've got some big games coming up. This one's just about all but wrapped up. And, Simon Mooney will come in and sit in that 10 position.
Replaced by number 18, Alexander Terepas.
So setup pass goes on to the ground. Got another score. Broadmeadow leading 3-2 now, so that's what we want for next week's game. If Broadmeadow get the result there, they're now up to 26 on the live table. Weston 29, so it'll be 3-point gap. And then the last round is going to be critical in deciding who goes through. And we've got Weston all the way through the last two rounds. So if you're a Weston fan, catch the rest of their season here on Bar TV. It's like Western TV. There's now down the left-hand side, Thornton. But that's what happens when you're up the top of the ladder. They deserve to be getting the coverage. There's now Mason Campbell. Isaac Peake down the right-hand side. Back to Robbie Turnbull. Turnbull goes to Herefield. Can they get back another one, Weston, and make it a little bit more interesting? Back to Edwards. He's got Jamie Subat. He can't see him. He goes for the shot. It wasn't a bad effort, but Jamie Subat had no one around him on the far left side.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him just roll it out there. Don't get me wrong, shot's always good to have a crack at. But when you've got Subat sitting there free like that, get him into crossing positions where you can really get a chance on Ireland, because from there, I'm feeling that he's going to probably pick most of those out. Wind seems to have died down a little bit from what it was earlier, and a bit more possession on the football seems as the game settled too, Ben.
And Chris, one thing you do have to come up with this week, like last week, came up with Pat Wheeler. It was his Pat, actually. Speaking of another Pat, Nathan Morris onto him. He's going to get a yellow card. They're going to play on quickly. They're not. You'll have to come up with the man of the match this week. Came up with Pat Wheeler last week. Played very well at the back for Edgeworth. And this week, it's going to be a player in blue. But it's up to you which one you think has been the outstanding player to win the Dusthun House Man of the Match, the Pork Knuckle Award.
I was actually thinking it might be Darren Silsby because he's been quiet this afternoon. I haven't seen that before. We'll let that one pan out. Maybe his cap's a bit too tight.
Here's Simon Mooney. We know he gets a lot of dip. Tim Pratt. Some Hamilton fans, I think, went up a little bit too early.
Yeah, he put the strike on that we were talking about earlier, the around the wall, the right to left whip on it. Probably in the swirling wind, not a bad option either. It just didn't work out. Sorry, what were you saying?
I thought Tim Pratt had it covered all the way, running through there as it's flicked back for Robbie Turnbull with a shot. Kyle Hodges puts his body on the line now with Subat down the left-hand side. Bumps away from Tom Davies, and the referee says that'll be a corner to Weston.
Robbie was calling for a penalty there, but just from here, couldn't really see what he was appealing for.
Unless he thought Kyle Hodges handballed it, but there was no hand anywhere near it. It was all foot, I thought.
Yeah, my hours aren't that good from here, mate, so I can pick it, but Didn't look too much.
Here's Nathan Morris. Reminder, New FM Grand Finals and the Women's Premier League Grand Finals will be here on Bar TV in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for those. Doing a bit of promotion on the Facebook page. So if you haven't liked us on Facebook, just go onto Facebook, Bar TV Sports, give us a like, and then you'll get all of our promotion about all different sports on there. The Union AFL League and the NPL as well. Over the sideline now, a throw for Weston. Charlestown leading 1-0 at Lyle Carr over Maitland. That's not good news if you're a Maitland fan. Don't know where I got the D from. If you're a Maitland fan. Charlestown will go up to 15 points if that's the case. And it'll mean the relegation battle is still well and truly alive. South Cardiff with 2 games to go, as well as Maitland after this one. After South Cardiff played on Friday night against Edgeworth. Heafield squares it across. Heafield goes down, wins the free kick. Another opportunity to see Nathan Morris in action here for Weston.
Again, I think his realistic option here is to go just beyond the wall, just pop it over the top and just keep it away from Ireland as best he can and hope someone can get something on it in their favour.
Another goal for Broadmeadow. They lead 4-2 now. So
he's got to run it like he's
going
to hit it, and he did.
Into the wall and away. Weston with some more pressure, but there's less than 10 minutes to go. 4 goals behind. It's going to be very, very tough for them. McDermott, so yeah, Magic. I'm thinking that's with about 10 to go as well, leading the Jets youth 4-2. So they've come good in the second half on their last 2 matches, as Danny Ireland just lets that one go over rather coolly, just dodging out of the way.
Yeah, he was never in trouble there. He knew exactly where his goals are. It's interesting to see the desperation defence from Olympic, even though they're 5-1 up. Got the numbers behind the ball and had pretty much everyone in their own half and 10 of their players in behind it. So yeah, they're not going to give anything else away here.
Here is Mason Campbell. We've got, if you can hear it in the effects, we've got one of the RAF planes going overhead. Subat, bit of an interesting visit. Probably got the binos out trying to watch this game, I think. As Tom Davies with the throw. So, Chris, we were talking about how big losses end up in wins the next week. Not the case for the Knights. They went down 46-24. So,
okay, well, there you go.
And the Jets youth as well. It all turned around badly for both those sides. They had a big loss and started well. It was a good job getting through. He chips it over the top of Tim Pratt, who just rather coolly tips it over the bar.
That's a terrific strike from Goody there, because he didn't really have another option unless he could get around his oncoming defender on his right side, but it didn't look likely. Pratty just off his line slightly, and he's done everything perfectly there, and a great save from Pratt.
Well, Jack, you're going to have fun cutting up this game this afternoon, because there are going to be a ton of highlights. They're going to be going for 10 minutes, I think, the amount of shots we've had this afternoon. One of the more entertaining games we've had this year. Goes back post, the header across goal from Korotic. And now it's away for McDermott. He looks for Herefield up front. Down the left-hand side, Troy Herefield. He's got Mason Campbell in front of him, still with Herefield. Cuts it across to McDermott. Can he get a second? Danny Ireland, great save again.
Gee, just his reach is unbelievable. He's stretched his sideways, horizontal, and he just gets something on it to get it away. That's the difference between a good goalkeeper and a great goalkeeper in this league. And speaking of highlights, referee Digby's been quiet today, so that's a good thing for the game. If he's quiet, it means he's probably done a good job. I'm saying that pretty loudly because Alan Ecott's sitting next to me, head of the referees here. So, big rap for Diggers out there doing a good job today.
Here's the ball swung in. Danny Ireland gobbles it up.
Although Trevor Morris might dispute that comment on a couple of occasions.
I think a few of the Western fans just to the right of us might dispute that as well. So here's Pat Brown. He's already grabbed 3 this afternoon. Still going down that far side. Turnbull was after him. He got it back to Tom Davies. Subak went flying away after that challenge on Davies, but won the ball for Weston. And now for Wilson Edwards. Peak brings it across to Thompson.
And now they're starting to knock the ball around, but unfortunately, you know, when we've got 7 minutes left, it's a bit late. This is the sort of thing that we'd like to see earlier in the game from Weston, but maybe the conditions, a bit of hype about what the game is today, and the ground's probably, unlike last week, a little bit bumpy, a bit harder to do. But anyway, they seem to have pulled that out in the last movement. And Ireland's taking his time here because, you know, he's just waiting, forcing Weston to come and make something on.
Just keeping a close eye on Troy Hearfield as he was trotting towards him. 117 A-League games for Troy Hearfield, 15 for the Jets, 70 for the Phoenix and 32 for the Mariners. And 5 A-League goals. He scored 4 in the NPL this year and played for Charlestown last year before coming up to Weston. Brings it across now to Matt Swan, going down the left-hand side. Korotic cutting it on the inside. I should say Serapar cutting on the inside there. And another change is going to be made for Weston.
So a couple of different approaches from the coaching staff leading up to their week into this week of training. Trevor Morris is going to be working really hard on all of the things that haven't quite worked well today. You know, it's defensive, the possession, the conversion in the top third of the park, and making sure they complete their passes. Whereas Bolchi, on the other hand, he's probably going to take a little bit more of a relaxed approach of more of what we've been doing, keep the same type of football in play, encouraging the enthusiasm and the spring in the step that they've got, and just reinforcing everything that's working well. You know, so when you do that, you're going to approach training differently in the week. You know, you'd want to be at Olympics training this week because it's going to be good fun. You know, it's going to be good fun. And they deserve to have a good time because they've been, 12 goals so far in 2 weeks. This time of the year is just where you need to be. So, again, they'll just reinforce the positivity in the group and how about they prepare next week, or how they prepare for it is going to be very positively. That's for sure.
So Lambton leading Adamstown 5-0 now. So it's been a goal fest this afternoon. 5-0 in that one. 4-2 to Magic against the Jets at Magic Park, and 5-1 in this one. Only 1-0 between Charlestown and Maitland. It's a pressure battle, that one, so Maitland probably not with much time left. Rumours that he might leave Reece Thompson at the end of the season due to work commitments. I read that in the paper. As it comes across to Nathan Morris, who looks for Nick Thompson. Have you heard anything in regards to whether Reece Thompson will be staying on for Maitland?
Oh, look, I speak to Reece a bit, and it's a big job, as head coach, and he's done the job really well this year. I hope that he doesn't. I know that it's a tough job. He does work very long hours. I know that for sure, and he puts in a big effort there. And coaching takes up a lot of your time. So, I know that firsthand too. He's going to need to make some choices. You get your family to balance up, that sort of thing. I hope that he stays and does have another go. I know that the club would want him there for sure, because he's particularly well liked by the players, the supporters, committee. Hopefully he can get the balance right, between work and play. That's what it comes down to. So hopefully he does, because I've got a lot of time for Reece.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the off season. But it's been announced Trevor Morris won't be back next year for Weston, as it bounced away towards Pat Brown again. He's got some opportunist goals this year. Yeah, so no Trevor next year for Weston, after they sacked Steve Piggott, left Weston last season, so they'll be on the market for a new coach again next year, Weston. Simon Mooney now down the right-hand side. Any idea of who they might look for, Weston?
No, look, to be honest with you, I don't. I mean, Weston have had some great coaches over the years, and maybe it's going back into the where they've been in the past with a couple of that have helped them out. I don't want to mention names, but they've had some terrific people that have been long term. And Weston's a club that are like a family, a lot like Maitland. They've got people there that are long term. They just once you're a part of that club, you don't go away. It's very rare for someone. So maybe they'll look internally. I don't know.
Darren Sills, what are the chances of him stepping up to the head coach role?
Well, Silsy's been there before. He's coached at West Wallsend, is when I'm saying been there. He's been a first grade coach before he's at West Wallsend. It wasn't a great year for them. They did get relegated. But he knows what it's all about. And he's been on the sideline as assistant for the last couple of years with Weston. So, it's a real option. It's good to see he's loosened the back of his cap a bit because there's a bit of steam and sweat getting out now. So that's good.
As the free kick, Robbie Turnbull, we'll have to see what he's got to see who does the post-match interview. We've had either Trevor or Darren this year, so we'll have to see what happens there. But it will be the first time that I interview a Western coach after a loss.
Well, if you do get a hold of Silsey, just get him to take his cap off. So we've got Weston's Uncle Fester saying hello.
As the ball now, Wilson Edwards down the line. 30 seconds to go in regulation time in the second half. Thornton goes back to Tim Pratt. And now for Gary McDermott. Reece Cooper brings it back to Matt Swan. And just quickly, Chris, it's been great to have you in the commentary box the last 2 weeks, doing some stuff for Bar TV. So it's been absolutely wonderful. You've given up your time to come and help us out while Blake's been away. So thanks a lot for that. It's been good fun having you up here and picking your brain.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure and good fun too. Thanks for having me.
Pat Brown bringing it across to this near side.
It's always interesting sitting on the other side of the fence, literally. So
must be a lot more relaxing.
Oh yeah, any more relaxed to be asleep.
So we've got a yellow card coming out again. Robbie Turnbull grabbing it this time, and Hamilton with the free kick.
Yeah, I'm sure if you go and test Trevor Morris's heart rate versus mine, you'll see a dramatic difference in the pair. And it is, and it's good change, mate. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and have a discussion with you guys here on Bar TV.
And Chris might be back for the final, so that'll be good if he comes back in. We've got a lot of finals matches on Bar TV. We've got New FM, we've got Women's Premier League, and we've got the 4 semi-finals and then the grand final on September the 6th. So it is going to be a fantastic end of the season of the NPL on Bar TV as Gary McDermott goes across the ground. Some space over there for Weston. Tom Davies getting across, missing the challenge. Cross be put in here by Weston. It's cut back towards Herefield. Now Tom Davies away. Hamilton doing well at the back. Just that one goal conceded for them. Gary McDermott after the cross from Robbie Turnbull. And now Reece Cooper down the middle of the ground. Subat getting in. Still with Cooper trying to put it through. Looking for good child. But Morris got his foot in. Now with Pat Brown putting the ball through now for Serapar. Serapar down the left-hand side. And good tackle down there by Nick Thompson.
Terrific ball in there from Brown.
Are you leaning towards him for man of the match this afternoon?
Well, if you're asking the question now.
I am.
All right, yeah, he's definitely my man of the match. I mean, he's been in a real battle, down his side of the park, and it's got a little bit fiery, and he's sort of gotten through that. He didn't do anything silly and get sent off or anything like that, but he's certainly done enough with 2 clinical finishes to get my man of the match.
Well, that is full time in this one this afternoon. I'm going to run down, have a quick interview with Pat Brown, considering he's our man of the match this afternoon. But hang up here, Chris. After I do that, I'm going to come back up and we're going to wrap up the game this afternoon.
That's the final score in the Hamilton in the first grade fixture. Final score, Hamilton Olympic 5. What a fantastic afternoon of football. Cheers, guys.
I'm here with our Dusthund House Man of the Match, the Pork Knuckle Award to Pat Brown. And Pat, 3 goals this afternoon. And what did you think of that performance?
Yeah, it was a good performance for the boys. It's good to get the win, but mainly we want to focus on the semi-finals now, because this pretty much cements us into the top 4. So we're just going to concentrate on training and hopefully make it to the final.
Now, you played that game against Edgeworth a few weeks ago. You came off half-time. It wasn't your best performance. How much confidence does that give you this afternoon?
Oh, it gives me great confidence, getting 3 goals and puts Bolchu, cements me in the starting 11 for next week. But yeah, against Edgeworth, it wasn't a good game for me.
What are the keys for the finals going forward for you guys? Because you've been scoring plenty of goals. I think, 15 goals in the last 3 matches.
Yeah, it is. It's a great record. But we just got to focus on training now and focus our next game. I think it's against Charlestown now and get the 3 points. Good luck in that one. Charlestown are going to be a tough one. They're trying to avoid relegation, and a great performance this afternoon. Thank you very much. Cheers. So we'll just run through those other results this afternoon. Lambton with a 6-0 win over Adamstown. 5-2. Peter Haynes scored from inside his own half to get the 5th goal against the Jets U. So they won 5-2 Broadmeadow. 5-1 here, and 1-1 between Maitland and Charlestown. Just quickly, Chris, what were your thoughts on today's match this afternoon?
Solid result for Hamilton. They've come out, they got some good possession early and got a couple of goals, and you know, when the conditions were there like today, I thought they did particularly well in finishing their chances. So unfortunate for Weston, they didn't really get on with it, but you know, to be honest, the result was probably fair in the end.
Well, that will wrap it all up for us here on Bar TV this afternoon. Next week, it's a match between Weston and Broadmeadow Magic. There's 3 points separating them on the table. It is a crucial match in terms of the makeup of the top 4 in the NPL this season. Chris, as I said again, thank you so much for being a part of the coverage for the last 2 weeks. And Blake will be back next week for that big clash.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And you guys have been doing a great job, so keep it up.
Well, thanks, guys, for watching. Till next week here on Bar TV, it's goodbye.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.